Hi, this is Lindsay Oden, Special Research Assistant at the Washington State Attorney General's Office, and this is your AGO Moment in History. In this series, our office will be releasing clips from our Oral History Project, an ongoing effort to collect and preserve the history of the Attorney General's Office as told by the people who have worked here over the years. In this episode, former Deputy AGs Jeff Goltz and Shirley Battan interview former Attorney General and Governor Gregoire. Gregoire served 3 terms as Washington State's Attorney General from 1993 to 2005. In this clip, Governor Gregoire describes the highs and lows of her time as AG. Let's take a listen.
So, you mentioned Supreme Court and the tobacco as being high points in the office. Any other big, if you had to pick something that was just really gave you the best day of your administration, or the highest point besides those? Anything else?
People often, as you might well imagine, ask me what I'm most proud of. And I can answer that question with this story. And it is why every single person in the AG's office can and does make a difference. When I was early on in my career in the AG's office in Spokane, I did a dependency case of an infant who had been brutally beaten. Okay. Ultimately, placed with foster parents who became her adoptive parents when I terminated the parental rights. Ethically, I'm done then, so I have no more contact, right? So I didn't have any contact forever. So I don't know whatever happened after that, other than I assume they adopted, and that's all I know. And it was a female child. Fast forward many years, obviously, and I get a letter from the mom, the adoptive mom, in which she says that she wants me to know what happened to that little girl. She had just graduated from the School of Social Work at Eastern, and she was going on to go to law school because she wanted to give back just like I had to her. So I think tobacco pales in comparison to that story, frankly. And what that means is I didn't know anything was going on, and the adoptive parents shared the story with their child, and that child grew up understanding all that, and then that child wanted to pay back. So every single assistant attorney general, every single legal secretary, every single person in the accounting department,
or the print shop
can make that difference. And that's what inspired me into public service, and that was my reward, in my opinion.
So what about the downsides? What were some of the downsides in the AG's office while you were there for 12 years?
Well, the low point was a case that came out of Seattle, where we missed a filing deadline for an appeal, and it took a life of its own on. And it was a challenging time for the office because our salaries were so non-competitive with the private sector that we couldn't keep ourselves filled with legal secretaries and so on and so forth. I was in the torts division. And I don't want to go into the ugliness of it, but it was an ugly human story behind it. Anyway, we sought relief from the court, denied, fired the lawyer that we thought was responsible, took us to court, had to settle the case. Notoriety out of it was ugly. It wasn't healthy for the office. And I paid a dear price when I ran for office for it. So that was clearly the low point for me.
And out of that came increased attention to office processes.
Correct.
To make sure that
that didn't happen.
Yeah.
So
management system.
Case management system, and if some one thing fails, there's a backup. Was what we tried to make happen, and I hope that has
it's still in place.
Succeeded.
Yes, absolutely.
But I look back with much regret, and I can go through all the circumstances. Y'all could too, to tell you why it happened, but it was ugly.
What was the hardest decision you ever had to make as AG, if there was one?
You know, I suspected you would ask that, and I can't get away from answering it in relationship to being governor, because they're basically one and the same. I struggle mightily with capital punishment. And we had a case come up, an individual by the name of Charles Campbell, who had languished on appeal for years in the Ninth Circuit. In my opinion, because of the Ninth Circuit's bias against capital punishment. Anyway, Ken had filed, an action in the U.S. Supreme Court to sanction the Ninth Circuit, never heard of. I remember at the time thinking, wow, and so on and so forth. Well, and I did the same thing because they sat on it and so on and so forth, thinking I can see why he was so frustrated. And then the day came. Then the day came for this guy to meet his penalty. Mike Lowry is governor. Mike Lowry is very much opposed to the death penalty. And I'm his counsel. And he goes over there to see Campbell personally, which I would never advise a client to do, frankly. And then I had to deal with him that night as this man went through hell as to whether he should stop the death penalty from moving forward or not. And I remember just being pained by telling the governor what I felt I had to do in my role as Attorney General, but feeling good about the fact that I didn't have to make the decision. And then when it happened and I got the call and so on, I remember just being in a total, complete funk.
Yeah.
And then, sure enough, I got it when I was governor and went through it up close and personal. There was no one else I could look to make the decision. It was mine and mine alone. I hated every single moment of it. And I can't tell you how much time I combed through the records. There wasn't anything I didn't know. I don't know of any governor that does that or did that or has done that. But it's hard. Hard.
So this question might have the same answer. I don't know. But what did you look? What's the number one thing you learned while being Attorney General? If some new Attorney General gets elected somewhere and says, "What should I know? What's the number one thing I should know from your experience?"
I think the bottom line is you have to guard the responsibility with fervor that this will be a independent, highly ethical, above reproach professional office. Don't let anything get in the way, and that's why the Beckman case is so disappointing to me, because it wasn't fair to the office. I'll take the rap, okay? But don't blame it on the rest of the office. There was no lawyer here that wasn't hurt by it. And I don't mean outside hurt by it. I mean felt themselves hurt by it. And that's just, it's just not worth it to let something like that happen. The only way you guard against it is maintain that you're going to be independent, highly ethical, highly professional, and don't take anything for granted when it comes to that.
On a little lighter note, what are some memories of some really fun things, fun times you had in the office? And can you think of a time that made you laugh the hardest?
So I can't think of one thing, but I do want to say this. The office is about its people. It's only as good as its people make it. You stick with it. You both retired. I retired from public service. It wasn't for the money. It wasn't for anything. It was for the people. And the jobs are tough. You talk about a death penalty case. I went out to that division that night, and then I went out there again the next day. People in that division have an interesting humor.
This is the Criminal Justice Division.
Criminal Justice Division. They have an interesting humor. Well, you gotta have it. You gotta be able to laugh and make fun and do light things and so on. And this office is hard work. It's a tough job. And so you gotta be able to have fun. You gotta be able to be light. And that's what we did. I do not remember a time where we couldn't laugh at ourselves, at each other, make fun, and enjoy ourselves. And so I can't tell you one time, Shirley, because there are so many times that I have laughed till I cried, and I look back with the absolute fondest of memories. But it's all about the people. And they have always been the best of people and the dearest of friends. And, that's who the office is.
Yeah, and maybe this is the same answer, but what did you find most inspiring about your work in the office? Maybe it's the same answer.
It is a little different.
Okay.
And it is this. Remember the guy that we had come from Harvard, where I told you the story of, you're in retirement, you're on your porch, you're rocking, and the little grandbaby comes over and says, "What are you most proud of?" Are you going to say you invented some widget, and you're really proud of that, or you changed the color of the widget, and you're really proud of that? Or that you saved a little kid's life, and that little kid is going to grow up and be a lawyer and pay it forward? So what I'm most proud of is the one today, in my darkest of days, where I wasn't proud of being a public servant. That I couldn't go home and look at myself in the mirror and say, I'm okay with me. That I was proud in front of my family that I was part of the Attorney General's office. And that we were making a difference in the lives and livelihoods of the people of the state of Washington every single day, and it was better for it.
And is that what you'd like to be most remembered?
Yeah, a lot of people have asked me, what I'd like to be remembered for from the Attorney General's office. Would it be tobacco? Would it be this? Would it be that? No, I don't think so. I think that's all symptoms of a bigger, which is I'd like to be remembered for running one of the best, if not the best, Attorneys General offices in the country.
Thanks for listening to this AGO moment in history. Be sure to like and subscribe to receive updates when we upload a new episode. On our next episode, we will once again turn to another former Attorney General, Ken Eikenberry, who held the office from 1981 to 1993. Thanks, and talk to you again soon.